friends. How are you doing today? I hope you are all doing well. I am Gerald, Ginger Gerald Stitcher, here for another knitting and cross stitch update. And it is actually very close to my 6-year anniversary here on YouTube, or in our little neck of the woods, FlossTube. So I am very excited to be here today because it is 6 years that I've been doing this here on YouTube, and can't believe I've been doing this that long. So here we are. So today there's no planned update today just because I am on a time crunch today. So I wanted to check in with you all just to give you an update on what I've been doing for the last week and a half. Actually, it's been about 2 weeks since I've updated. It's been a roller coaster of the last couple weeks for me in my personal life, and I'm actually getting ready to do some traveling here for the next few days. So I wanted to jump on and do a video real quick because I need to do some personal traveling for with some family stuff. So I just wanted to check in because it's been 6 years. So here we are. It is getting cold here in New Jersey. It is, well, it's not fully winter yet. It definitely feels like it because we're not used to it. So I'm bundling up here and kind of getting into the knitting. Well, I've already been in the knitting mindset, but definitely really, really gung-ho with knitting right now because it's cold. So let's go ahead and get right on into what I've been up to. I have a lot to show you today, and we'll go from there. So let's go ahead and start. We're going to start with knitting just because that's what I have real close here, and then we'll move on into cross stitch after that. So I do have coffee with me today because it's one of those days, and I might take a drink here or there. And so first off, I have a couple finishes actually since we last talked. In one of my J&J Craft Co bags, this is my Steelers bag. I have this is the baby's feather and fan scarf that I found on Ravelry as a free download. And I think this is a common pattern that you can find. I knit this in Knit Picks palette, and this is Knit Picks palette that I held the two strands together in the two different colors, lichen and pumice heather. So the two different colors I held together, and here are the two colors. So the pumice heather and the lichen. So I held them together, and here is the finished scarf. Now I have not blocked these yet, or I have not blocked the scarf yet, but it is a finished scarf. So there is the finished length of the scarf. That is the finished scarf. There you can see the color, and I think it's a pretty nice looking scarf. I love the tweediness, or I guess the tweed look of the different color effect that holding the two different colors together gives it, as well as the architectural look of the pattern itself. And I think it's just a great looking scarf. Now it's gonna not look great on this color shirt that I have, but there we go. So that is scarf number 2 finished for the last couple months. And I will go ahead and give it a good block whenever I get a chance here. And it will probably be a Christmas gift for someone this year. But I'm just trying to use up yarns that I've had in my stash for quite a while. I've probably had this yarn for a few years, 3 years maybe. And so, and I think I said it on a previous video, this pattern kind of reminded me of the texture of this pattern reminded me of the Chrysler Building. So I thought that was really cool. So that is a finish. Now I can take this out of this bag and I can use this for a new start that I have that I started today. So there is the Baby's Feather and Fern scarf. Fan. Baby's Feather and Fan scarf. Not for a baby though. At least not mine. Then I decided I had a pair of socks that I started back in the spring using Peyton's Croy sock yarn. This is in the gray brown marl, and I had one completely done. So I had one sock completely finished. This one was completely finished back in the spring. This is I did the toe up sock using the rounded toe that I found a free pattern on Ravelry for, and I'm using a German short row heel. And so what I decided to do was, I didn't have the second one even started yet. So on Monday or Tuesday, I went ahead and cast on the second sock just so I had it on the go, ready to go, and I ended up finishing it. So there is a complete pair of socks that I have finished. And I think this is the first pair of socks that I have that are almost exactly a complete match. They're not a perfect complete match because, as you can see, the one toe is a little bit larger than the other toe in the red section. But they are a practically perfect matching pair of socks. So I'm very pleased with that. So it took me a little bit of time to figure out how to get them to match. But once I did, they are now a pair of socks. So that is again, I did the toe up method with a German short row heel and a 2x2 cuff. I'm kind of thinking that I'm going to go back to a cuff down sock for a while and see if I like that better. I don't know. I like both ways of doing socks, so we'll see what I want to do. But a pair of socks are now done, and this is a project that I've had on the go since spring, is now finished. Let's see, where can I put this? Then because I have those done, I decided to pull out this pair of socks that I've had on the go since I think spring, and it's the diagonal lace socks. Excuse the glare, I'm not taking it out of the plastic. So this is the diagonal lace socks that I am doing with, this is Valley Yarns sock weight. I don't like it, and I'm going to pull it out, and I'm going to use this yarn for something else. I like the look of the sock, but I don't like knitting it. And if there's something, if I don't like knitting it, it's not worth my time, and I'd rather just use the yarn for something else. So I decided that this is going to be a UFO or an unfinished object, and I will use the yarn that I have for a pair of socks for something else. So I think this yarn is chocolate. And the yarn is from the web online store, Webb's Yarn. and it's the Valley Yarns sock weight yarn or sock yarn. I forget exactly what the yarn is. I don't have the tag. I have a lot of this sock weight yarn that I'm just going to pull it out and make a regular sock out of instead of wasting my time knitting something that I don't like to do. So that yarn is, or that sock is not going to be anymore. So I just wanted to announce that here. So if you've been following me for a while and you're wondering what's going on with that sock, that's what's going on with that sock. So with that, that's everything. Well, it's not everything that I've worked on so far, but that's everything that I've worked on since today. So since today, I went ahead and cast on a new start, which is actually something that I've recently worked on before. It is the Sesha scarf that I recently finished in a previous video. I have lots of yarn that I was using before with this type of with this scarf, so I went ahead and cast on a new one because this is great travel knitting, and I really like the way it turned out. So I pulled out more of the palette from Knit Picks. This is palette in Douglas fir, so it's a really deep green color. So I have 2 balls of this, and I went ahead and cast on and did the first 3 rows of the yarn of the scarf, or first 3 repeats. So I'm just going to continue. I'm going to take that with me, and I will work on that as I'm traveling, and hopefully in a few episodes, I will have another new scarf completely done. So that is a new start in the knitting. So this is Sesha or Sesha, or however you want to pronounce that. It's a free download on Ravelry, Sheesha. I think it's a beautiful scarf. The previous one I did, you can look back in a few episodes, I did in the brass heather color by Knit Picks palette. I feel like I'm talking fast, but okay. Last couple things I want to talk about is in yarn is a purchase that I made that came in the mail yesterday. And I actually cast it on, but then I wasn't happy with it, so I pulled it out, and I'm going to wait until probably Thanksgiving, and then I'll cast it on around Thanksgiving. But this is a sweater's quantity of yarn that I bought for a new sweater that I've had the pattern for the sweater I've had the sweater pattern for a while now, and I was waiting for the perfect time to buy the yarn whenever it went on sale. So the sweater pattern is the Beauceron, and I found this pattern on Ravelry, and it is by Vincent Deslandes, Deslandes. So there's the pattern, the Beauceron. And of course, knowing me, I can't not do something in mustard and gray, because that's my colors, because that's what drew me to this pattern was the colors of that sweater right there. So I went ahead and ordered mustard and gray. So it calls for a DK weight yarn, and so I ordered from Knit Picks their Kotlin. So I've never used Kotlin yarn before. This is a cotton linen blend, so it's 70% Tenguis cotton and 30% linen. So it's a really neat feel lightweight yarn, which I think is going to be great for whenever I want a sweater in, you know, early spring or late early fall. That will be it's not going to be super heavy and extra warm. It'll be a nice lightweight sweater. And so I went ahead and got these two colors. I cast it on. I wasn't super thrilled with it. I'm a perfectionist whenever it comes to it, and I really want it to be well done. So I actually pulled it out, and I'm going to redo it and take my time and make sure it's done the right way. So it's a collar down sweater in the round. So there's a few techniques that I've never done before that I need to get better at. So I pulled it out. I'm going to redo it, and hopefully it'll look better the second time around. So that is the new purchase that I made for the sweater. Finally, one other thing that I pulled out that has been languishing in my craft closet is another pair of socks, because I'm trying to knock out the things that have been laying around for a while that just needs to be finished. So I have a pair of socks that are half done, just like the other pair of socks that are half done. So I pulled them out, and so here is the first sock that is finished. Again, I did the toe up method with the German short row heel. Toe up method, German short row heel. This again is a Knit Picks yarn that I've had forever. Here is what it looks like. I think I don't even know what the name of this yarn is. I don't have the tag anymore. And I started this back in the spring again. And so I'm going to cast this on, and I'm going to finish this in the next couple weeks. So again, this is a short, easy, going to be quick and easy sock to knit. I just need to do the work of casting it on and getting it done. So that is going to be my plans for knitting, is to also cast this on and get this finished. So my plans for knitting in the future is going to be, and this is also in a J&J Craft Co bag, which I think is an awesome looking floral print in my colors, yellow and gold. J&J Craft Co, you can find her on Etsy. So my plans for knitting are going to be to finish sock, cast on my sweater, and work on that Sesha scarf that I have now cast on. So those are the 3 projects I have on the go, and those are the only 3 projects that I now have on the go. Well, that I have or will have on the go. And that is all I'm going to be working on knitting wise until they are finished. And then we'll proceed from there. All right. So I'm going to clean up my knitting. I'm going to pause here, clean up my knitting, and I will be right back with cross stitch. Okay, in cross stitch, I have worked on a couple pieces in the last week or so. I guess it's been 2 weeks since we talked. And so let's talk about those pieces. I've also have a little bit of a purchase that came in. So first off, let me just get organized here. I actually pulled over my ottoman so that I don't have to be bending over so much. So the first thing that I worked on in the last week, I'm not sure if I showed this on the last video. I don't think I did, but well, I did show this on the last video, but I don't think it was finished yet. So I had started in a small, which was the small in hand, which was the Crowns of the Kingdom by Rosewood Manor, and I was doing the King Edward the Confessor's crown right here on a blue Mirren linen that I had just a scrap of, and I had finished it. So there is that finish. So this is, again, blue mirror linen that I had a piece of scrap, and I used XG Designs overdyed floss called Dried Leaves. And so there is the finish. And so that will go along with the rest of my smalls, and at some point I will go ahead and finish those up into small pillows or ornaments or something like that. Not sure what I'm going to do with those, but I have them finished. So I'm happy with that, and it's another finish for 2021. And that is actually all of the mirror and linen, the blue linen that I have. The only other small piece of linen that I have that I was planning on doing a small on is this small piece of jack-o'-lantern from XG Designs that I was thinking about putting something small on. That would have to be stitched in hand because I don't have a Q-snap small enough for that. So we'll see what I plan on putting on that. I'm not sure yet. We will see. But that is my finish, my in-hand finish. I don't like stitching in hand. One, it makes my hand cramp up. Two, I don't like the way my stitches look. And so I don't do it very often. But I have this in my Made by Mama Joan gardening bag. All right, next up on Tuesday during my stitching date, I worked on my, which is only whenever I work on this piece, I worked on, again, also in a Made by Mama Joan, my map bag. I worked on the Queen's Crowns by Plum Street Samplers. I'm stitching this on 28 count coffee dyed and baked fabric that I did myself. 1/1 using the called for DMC. It actually calls for Belle Soie, but she has the DMC conversion. So I used the DMC for the red, but I'm using Anchor Black because I've never used Anchor Black before, and I wanted to give it a try now that Joann Fabrics has all the Anchor flosses. And here is my progress so far. So on Tuesday, I went ahead and what I worked on was this black border. And so I started, very first time I ever used black Anchor floss. It's very different in my opinion than working with DMC. It has a very different texture than the DMC does. It's much more stiff than the DMC and it has more of a sheen or a shine to it. So there's still a line that has to come across and separate the middle of this black box down here, and then the entire thing gets outlined in black. I am planning on making another change to the pattern. I might change the word Gloriana to a different color, but I'm not sure yet. So I'm still contemplating on doing that just to give it a little bit more of a Gerald feel to it. But I'm going to make that decision whenever it's time to stitch that. So right now I'm doing the black, and then I'll probably come down and do the crowns here at the bottom, and then do the word Gloriana last. But this is just a Tuesday or a stitch date stitch, so it only comes out whenever I'm working on something that I'm FaceTiming or a Zoom meeting, so that I don't have to, because it's easy enough that I don't have to have a pattern right up in front of me for. So that is the Queen's crowns. Again, this is on 28 count Lugana that was coffee dyed and baked, and it is stitched 1/1 using the DMC and the anchor floss. The last thing that I worked on this week was my Riolis kit, the Red Panda. I finally pulled the Red Panda back out and started working on it again. And I'm finally making some strong headway. So if you follow me on Instagram, my Instagram, what is it, tag or name is @ginger.gerald.stitcher, @ginger.gerald.stitcher, yeah. You can follow me there for plant updates, stitching updates, knitting updates, just life updates in general. I post semi-regularly, but I did recently post on there an update of the Red Panda. And I was hoping to film this video before I put the Red Panda back on the Q-snap, but then I didn't film, and so I put him back on the Q-snap. But I had to move the Q-snap to, because I had the entire bottom portion of the project is done. So I took a picture down here of the tail being all completely done. And so I posted that on Instagram. So if you want to see that now, go check that out on my Instagram. While you're there, you might as well follow me so you can get my regular updates. But here is where he is as of now, which is more progress since I last showed him on my Instagram posting. So this is Red Panda by Riolis. I am progressively working on his body right now, his body and his head. His head is very confetti heavy, or for a Riolis pattern, his head is pretty dense. And confetti, what you would consider confetti for a Riolis kit. But it's still coming out really well. Riolis kits are, this Riolis kit uses the wool acrylic blend floss on 14 count Ada. And so this is the nice gray blue Ada that came in the kit. It's using the wool acrylic floss. And a lot of the colors are blended. So you use one strand of one color, one strand of another color to get the nice subtle shades. So I went ahead and did all of the back stitching on the lower portion of the pattern just so that I was completely done with that, which I didn't think I was going to do, but I went ahead and did it anyways. And then I moved the Q-snap up, and so I'm slowly working on all of the reds in his body, which are more like oranges, but whenever you put it up on the pattern, it looks really, really nice and reddy color. And I'm trying to color complete as I go now. So all of these darker reds are completely done in the pattern, I believe, unless I missed a stitch or two. And then I'm just slowly color completing for the rest of the pattern as we go. So I'm working on the nose or the snout, and working slowly up. These colors in the snout are not complete. There's a whole lot of those colors up here in the treetops and everything, but really, really coming along. I definitely think this could very well be a finish if I focus on it this year in December. I was hoping to have it finished in November, but I just don't think that's going to be the case unless I really, really become monogamous through the end of the month. But never say never. So here is Riolis Red Panda. And that is everything that I've stitched so far. So that is my stitching up to today. I'm still, again, planning on getting Red Panda. Here are what the colors, how the colors come for the realist kits. So my plans for the next few weeks or until I film again are that I'm going to focus on Red Panda to get it finished. However, I did get my order of Fiberlicious fabrics, Fiberlicious Yummy Fiber. Yeah, Fiberlicious Yummy Fiber fabrics in. I made an order to them in order to get the fabric for my By the Bay needle art stitch along, the Home Sweet Home stitch along. I needed a piece of fabric for that. So I ordered 3 pieces of fabric from Fiberlicious that I wanted for, I figured one of the pieces would work for the stitch along. I had a piece in mind that I wanted to do. So the stitch along, it will look like this. It is the 12 houses of that Donna has created for the stitch along. One comes out every month. The first one has already come out. I'm kind of behind. I'm hoping to get that started this month, maybe start around Thanksgiving and try to get caught up. I knew I was going to be a little bit behind, but I'm planning on getting caught up and staying caught up once I get caught up. I don't think those will take that long to stitch once I get started. But so the fabric that I originally ordered for that design is the Fiberlicious Cobblestone, which I've actually already started, I've already been using for my medieval tapestry sampler from Cross Stitch Row. So this is Fiberlicious Cobblestone in 40 count linen. But the piece that came in this time is very different coloring than the piece that I had before. And I was really, it's not exactly what I was hoping for. So here's the piece of fabric that I got this time. It's a beautiful piece of fabric. It's just not what I had envisioned for my stitch along. So, and I'm going to show you the difference. So the piece of cobblestone that I have for my medieval tapestry is much more on the green side. This is much more on the gray side, gray pinky side. I was wanting something green like this for my stitch along. So I don't think this is going to work. I will definitely find a use for this, and I think it's a beautiful piece of fabric. It's just not what I was hoping for my stitch along. So, but because I wanted to make sure, you just never know, I ordered other pieces of fabric. And so I ordered a piece of amber in 40 count linen because I knew I wanted it to be on 40 count. And again, 40 count linen, amber, and I think this is what I'm going to put my stitch along on. So there it is, 40 count linen, amber. Here is the entire piece. There we go. So I think this is going to be the piece of fabric I use for my stitch along, and I think it's going to be beautiful on that. And then because I was looking through Fiberlicious's website and I couldn't, I just, who can resist? I ordered another piece of fabric. So I ordered a piece of rustic fall, and I ordered a larger piece of fabric, and I'm glad I did because I just saw a new long dog sampler, and I very well may put it on this. And this is the rustic fall in 40 count. When I ordered it, I thought it was going to be more on the reddish side, like a burnt red color, but it's a little bit more orange than I thought it was going to be, but it's still a very beautiful rustic fall color. So there we go. So that is what I got in the mail this week. Very happy with that purchase. If I don't use those pieces for what I just said, I'm sure I will come up with something for those for the fabric, because patterns come out all the time, and you can never have enough fabric. So that is my plans for the coming up few weeks. Again, like I said, work on Red Panda, start the By the Bay needle art stitch along, Home Sweet Home, and see what else comes out that catches my fancy. So again, I hope you have a wonderful week. If you're in the United States, happy Thanksgiving if I don't get back to you all before then. I will be celebrating with friends. And until I see you, as always, don't forget to always be creative.